kind of an amazing thing, really. 16 months. There are many times when I think back and, well, I'm honestly kind of surprised I made it this far. I was pretty close to giving up at the very beginning, but I think I told that story already. This is going to be a long one. This was a very interesting month, shall we say. I always hate to end these little videos on a downer, so I'm going to get the more depressing stuff out of the way first. So, the first thing to note, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this last month, but during December I had the results of my blood test and my estrogen levels a little high. We had another test this month to just make sure it wasn't a fluke or any other crazy things, and it went up higher, actually. And that makes me worried, because the doctor said try not to get much higher than 200, and I'm at 391, and that was in the middle of this month, so I certainly hope my liver and kidneys don't just shut down someday. It's a little bit of back and forth, like, for the most part, I just feel a little more tired, and I feel like emotions are a little more powerful, but nothing too crazy. I don't have any different aches or pains or any other crazy things like that, so I guess it's not damaging me too much, but this is still kind of scaring me, I'm not gonna lie. And the second thing as well, and this is more on a personal level, but I feel like it's something I should mention. I've come to the conclusion that I had a bad childhood. It's kind of crazy. I mean, this was something I felt like I've always had for a long time, but that day of accepting it, it was very hard. And when I talked to a good friend about it, like, I was just kind of full-on sobbing about it. It's kind of crazy how such a thing like that can affect your entire life. But like I said, that's the bad stuff. As for the good stuff, the vocal training is going along alright, and, well, my voice coach seems very optimistic in the idea that I've made it this far in so short a time. I'm not really sure if it's coming through very well. I think it sounds alright, but it's just a little too quiet for my liking. I'm a very loud person. This doesn't really sound very feminine when I go that loud, now does it? So like I said, I'm getting voice training lessons. The coach is on Discord, and there's a lot of other people in there as well that are trying to figure out how to feminize their voice, and hey, there's some trying to even masculize their voice, but kind of thought the tea took care of that anyway, but probably not as much so, whatever. Sometimes it's a little slow at night, and I just say, hey, does anybody want to hop in the voice chat? And had a good party of like 6 or 7 people there. And it was just a very refreshing conversation, because we just had all these stories that were very similar. Like, for example, I never felt comfortable picking the girl characters in video games. It just felt gross and wrong. Like, I wasn't allowed to do that. And everybody in the voice chat was just like, yes, all the time. I couldn't stand that. Well, I always think back to that time. It was at a good friend's house. He had a pool. And so we figured we'd take advantage of it. It was a rather hot summer day. But the weirdest thing is we all just kind of stared at each other and we're just like, should we take our shirts off? This doesn't seem right. But eventually one of us took it off, and I started to take off my shirt too, and I'm just kind of like, this doesn't feel right. But that was the only time I ever really felt that. I was perfectly fine when it came to swimming. I couldn't stand the locker room, though. Whenever I think back to there, I'm just like, yes, I am a hardcore lesbian. I do not see anything sexually attractive about the male body. And then there were a lot of other little things here and there, and it was just kind of refreshing to hear that I wasn't alone, and it was just so much fun how we were all just like, yes, 100%, all the time. Couldn't stand that. That was ridiculous, right? It was like I was among my people. And I was. And then probably one of the other good things is I mentioned talking about this bad childhood and, well, it seems to get a lot easier with each person I tell. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the first person I told it to, I was in tears. I was sobbing. It was very intense. Then after that, it was more like I could feel the tear ducts starting to well up, but nothing came out. And well, now I'm talking about it here, and there's a little bit of welling up, but not to the point of why. The only other big things were actually quite recently. So, I went to a hair salon for the first time. This hair was just getting a little too out of control. I was getting too much of the sheepdog look. I always like to comb it off to the side, but it got to a point where there was just this big bundle on my head and I couldn't see anything, like right about here. On top of that, I feel like it kind of tamed it a little bit. It was a lot thicker before. Now it's still about as long, but it's a little closer to my head, so it's a lot more manageable. And that was a rather fun experience. After talking with a few of the friends in that one server, it seemed like there was all this, you should be afraid, you should be very cautious, make sure you go to places that are on this approved list. For me, I was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I'll just call them up, see if they have any openings, and if me being transgender isn't a problem. So I said all that. They said they were available on Saturday. But because they never really had anyone similar to me, they wanted to make sure I was early to actually figure out how this hair works. But for the most part, I was in and out. The hairdresser was very respectable, and I didn't feel oppressed in any way, so I guess that's good. But in general, that was just a fantastic day. So the first thing was, I wanted to go to the bank. And when I did that, I dressed up in all the winter gear that I was too afraid to wear last year. But because I was kind of wearing something a little tighter, I wanted to wear a bra. The same one I'm wearing right now, actually. I didn't want to poke out too much, shall we say. And it was just kind of nice. The whole time I'm just kind of like, why am I not getting any bigger? But I put on that bra and I'm like, it fits. It was like putting on a glove. It was fantastic. But probably the best part about that is, as I was going in and out, it was very cold, so you couldn't really see a whole lot other than my hair and like here up. So it was kind of fun. People were like holding the door open for me, and it's just like, this way, my dear. And I'm just like, I love this. This is fantastic. I even talked with a friend about it afterwards, and I'm just kind of like, so, this must be what euphoria feels like. I love it. And it's only going to get better as I get further along. I think that's about it, really. It felt like I had a lot more than this, but no, that's the long and short of it. The good, the bad. I don't know, what would I put as the ugly when I was like having a meltdown crying before? I guess that could work as the ugly. So as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But if you want to know more about the whole troubled childhood thing, I'm not going to reveal that many details because, well, it's a family thing. Well, I was always brought up with the idea that you shouldn't reveal too much about yourself on the internet. As is, past me would have been terrified that I have revealed my first name and last name in some capacity already. And even showing my face was definitely something I was afraid of. Funny how it works. But hey, at least now I have a face that I actually like to show off. So, till next time, be yourself, no matter who that is.